Good evening. Alrighty. So, very significant progress. Mind-blowing progress. Earth-shattering, okay. So, body harness is just about done. The bulkhead is finished. Power supply harness for the fuse box, which we'll get to. The electronic throttle control, which is back there, but it's wired in. Everything leads to either the bulkhead or back to the fuel tech. And then the power distribution, this guy right here, runs to here. This does terminal control, so key on, key super on, and then key running. That does distribution of power to the fuse box, and in that way I don't have to run, instead of running the main supply that comes with the car, I just route everything to here. Now there are some heavy gauge components that you typically couldn't run with this, but because I'm running the two batteries, the one in the front and the one in the car, I can split the power up and run all the light stuff through here. And I feel a lot more comfortable running the entirety of the vehicle power through the key. I mean, it's super heavy gauge wire, and I'm only gonna be pulling a couple amps just because it's, you know, the heaviest lifting this thing will do is firing off the coils. And I guess the injectors as well. But that's about it. Okay, battery in the back. This is gonna have a charge harness. So I've decided, the one thing that really scared me about doing this, well, not so much scared me, but concerned me, was having to power the battery, because you have to worry about drawing current through components that aren't meant to do that. And so to make sure everything's good, I'm gonna run a secondary charge harness that connects the positive terminals of the batteries basically directly without anything in between them. And that way the alternator can keep the little battery up. And then I think what I'll do is I'll probably measure the current at some point, just to try to get an idea of what I'm pulling, because it's a bit of a question mark and I haven't really been able to get too much in the way of knowing what it's going to pull, and I worry about heat. But it should be okay, and I'll test it before I get too far into it. So that's body side. Engine side is pretty much terminated completely. All the shielded cabling is done. Everything is run up top as grossly as humanly possible. I made sure to make it look horrible for everyone. I am worried about this heat, so I tied this together, and I'm gonna build a bracket, quick one, to get it onto the firewall, and then I'll have just the one connector into the VTEC solenoid. This is the garbage motor, so I'm not super concerned about getting it. Well, I mean, I guess the VTEC activation is going to be the same regardless. So VTC for the cam control. And now that we're basically done with electrical, I have to finish wiring in the power supply. So this is that plate I made that bolts into the factory location. I actually think I dropped a rib nut somewhere in there, but it bolts in, and then I spider it to the alternator and the starter, and then I'll do one more. And then I'm gonna do a heavy feed to the relay box. And so I'm still working on that. This is the supply and ground location, and I just need to create another positive and negative there. But the battery lives right here, so I should be able to just finish that up pretty quick. I believe I have another quick disconnect. I might have to just rig it up for first start. But that's about done. This might be a big hurdle, or this could go really quickly. I have everything wired correctly, so the signal to the alternator or the throttle body should just work. But this is all going to be bench tested right here. It's why I have this set up. As soon as I finish off, there's one more input I need to mess with. But as soon as this is done, I'm going to hook everything up and then start cycling. Check my source location, check my signal, you know, anything that I'm concerned might be an issue. The fuel tech, I know I've been going back and forth on this, but it's incredibly diverse with your ability to add and subtract consumers, pins, and you can even go in and change primary pins that I found. So if you screwed up the injector, which, you know, obviously shouldn't be the reason you're doing it, but you theoretically could go in and change out the pin location on an injector and just fix your error, which for me is like super good. Okay, so one last thing. We've got the fuel tank dropped. Levi came over and insisted we drop the fuel tank, and I couldn't help myself because I like taking stuff apart with Levi. And yeah, so this is the new tank. The old one's gone. We recycled it appropriately, which is true. That's not a joke. But yeah, so the tank's gonna get a little bit of work. I'm not gonna do any. These things are so cheap that I'm not super worried about getting it right the very first time. I took the filter out. I'm sorry, the housing for the fuel pump, and I took out the fuel level sensor. I cleaned everything that's going back in. I'm gonna put in a 450 to start. The one thing we had to modify here, so this is kind of cool. I'm sure they make something for this, but I want to do it my way. This is the positive terminal for the fuel pump. Now, the ground strap is right here, right? So it grounds here, and then there's another one under, right, it's like right there. But anyway, there's another spot, and it's really easy to do ground because this just becomes the ground, right? Well, power is a different story. You can't really get power into the tank very easily. It requires you to, well, you have to run a housing, and then the way they do it is they smash it together and basically just seal it that way. I'm gonna do a stud and nut with a gasket, and then I may have to use, yeah, I'm not gonna tell anybody. Okay, so that is the one hurdle I gotta get over, but the rest of it should be fine. I am going to be doing my evap trick thing. So this is the port for the evap. I'm gonna use this for a fuel dump to make the quick disconnects work better. And that'll be explained as we go on, but this is gonna have a new job. So I am gonna modify it slightly. Yeah, but that's where we're at. And the next one, we should have some clicks from things waking up. All right, bye-bye.